Hello, everyone. My name is John from Community Life Church in Catskill, New York, and this is Meals Ready to Eat from the Bible. Please like, subscribe, hit that bell icon to get notified. Facebook, follow us, like us, and everybody, please leave a comment. Thanks. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today's video is God Sets the Agenda, Not Me. We are commanded by God to follow God and to follow his agenda, and we don't get to set the agenda. We don't get to change the agenda. We only get to decide whether to follow it or not. One of the things we have a lot of trouble with today, and probably indeed all throughout human history, is recognizing the fact that God is God and we're not. Now it's up to him to set the agenda for our lives, and he does create our destiny, does give us a path to walk on, and gives us the choice whether to walk on that path or whether to not walk on that path. So we're continuing our look at the life of Jacob. Today we're going to take a look at his grandfather Abraham and see his call and how this worked out, and we see how Abraham, following God's path for him, led up to his son Isaac and Jacob, and so on and so forth. But this is just one big long plan that God is setting out for us. So let's take a look at today's scripture. We're going to start in Ephesians, and let me get that up on the screen for myself. And we're going to see just exactly how God does this. So first of all, this is Ephesians chapter 1, verses 4 through 5. Just as God chose us in him before the foundation of the world, that we would be holy and blameless before him. In love, he predestined us. He predestined us, not me predestination, not me predestining myself. He predestined us to adoption as sons through Jesus Christ to himself, according to the kind intention of his will. Then we go all the way back to Genesis. This is the beginning of the record of Abraham's life in chapter 12. Now the Lord said to Abram, "Go forth from your country and from your relatives and from your father's house to the land which I will show you. Excuse me. And I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great. And so you shall be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth will be blessed." So Abram went forth as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. Now Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Okay, I'm back. Now we can see, hold on one second, let me get my notes up. We can see what God is doing here in Abram's life. Was Abram at the time, he later became Abraham. But just before this chapter begins, at the end of 11, we see that, in fact, Terah, his father, set out to go to Canaan, but stopped in a place called Haran. Didn't quite follow the path that God had for him, so he's largely forgotten to biblical history. All right, let's break this down and see what God's saying to us in these two passages and see how he rolls out our destiny in the scripture for each one of us and gives us the choice whether or not to follow it. So first of all, God said go. That's right now. I want you to get up and go right now, right this minute. So this is an order from God to Abraham. Go from your nice, comfortable life from where you have been. Abraham was in a familiar place. He knew everything. He knew everybody. And God says, nope, you got to get up and you got to go. All that worldly influence you have in the city of Haran, forget about it. I'm going to give you godly influence in its place. Now, this is disturbing, but it is God that's deciding. This is always disturbing. Change is always disturbing to us. And, we always, get uncomfortable when this kind of stuff happens to us. But our decision is whether to follow God or not to set his agenda, not to set up our lives, but to follow God and to walk the path that he has for us. So Abraham followed God because he believed God and he lived by faith. Now, this is an important point. Let me just read the scripture. This is from Genesis 15, 6 through 8, a little bit later in the life of Abraham. It's very important because it's repeated throughout the New Testament. And it says this, "Then he believed in the Lord," Abraham believed in the Lord, "and he, God, reckoned it to him as righteousness. And he said to him, I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees to give you this land to possess it." So Abraham responded and said, "Oh Lord, how may I know that I will possess it?" We saw last week, even though Abraham was a man of great faith, he still had questions, still had doubts, and he still had to talk it through with God, still had to pray to God, still had to live. So Abraham's choice and ours too, or ours, is do we follow God? It's not set, how do we follow God or set the agenda? It's do we go on the path that God has given for us. If we do, we can be like his grandson, Jacob, and walk in his destiny. We see this destiny unfolding, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the whole thing, just going forward, this whole history. So we can walk in our destiny just like Jacob did. So let God set the agenda for your life and for my life, for our lives. This is important for us to do. We have to let him set the agenda, and then we can follow him and be a person of destiny, be a person of godly influence, and make a difference in the world. So long, and see you next week. Thanks a lot for watching. All right, thanks for watching. You can find us on the web at clchurch.cc. That's clchurch.cc. We meet 10:30 Sunday mornings in 20 West Main Street, Catskill, New York. Hope to see you there, and thanks once again.